Aussie insurance companies on notice, accused of pushing up premiums.
People don't know the reasons for the price increases. There's no transparency there.
While delivering shoddy customer service.
We've been seeing people dealing with the trauma of flood events and then the added trauma of managing an insurance claim.
Insurers this week fronting a parliamentary inquiry probing claims of vindictive behaviour in the wake of the devastating 2022 floods, which saw tens of thousands of Aussies across 4 states displaced.
Insurers were openly discussing their bonuses in front of traumatised policyholders.
The evidence from flood victims damning.
Policyholders being coerced, gaslit, lies being told, the deliberate withholding of claim reports.
Some who'd lost their homes reporting that dealing with their insurer was worse than the flood itself.
It's embarrassing, isn't it?
It's not a good look for the industry.
It's shameful, isn't it? Why can't you say it?
The Insurance Council apologising, insisting an independent review has already led to changes, including more claims staff.
Where we've let ourselves down with a customer, we say, sorry, I apologise.
In the wake of 4 flooding events in 2022, 303,407 insurance claims were lodged. The estimated total bill, nearly $7.4 billion.
Home insurance as a product in this country is under extreme pressure. Over 1 to 5 years, it's running at a loss. If we continue to run at a loss, premiums will continue to go up.
The industry's not on its knees. You're making money. You're making a lot of money.
Over 12 months, insurance premiums have jumped more than 16%, the highest rate in more than 2 decades, rising faster than inflation. Insurers say the escalating costs of labour, building materials and natural disasters are fueling the hikes, saying
the only sustainable way to moderate rising premium costs is to reduce the impacts of extreme weather, and this largely requires action by governments at all levels.
This is a sector that's under enormous pressure and is dealing with a changed climate in this country.
But as the climate changes, calls are growing for the culture within the insurance industry to change too.
There's often a culture within insurers of declining claims instead of sort of looking for a way to accept them. And some people just cannot keep fighting. The trauma of the flood event can be too much.
Maree White's home in Skipton in Victoria was flooded in 2022. She made a submission to that inquiry that you saw in that package. She's still not able to live in her house these 2 years later. And, Maree joins us now. Maree, in fact, is it okay if we can just see, if you can show us around so we can see what's left of your house at the moment?
Yeah. So the house was damaged from the flood in October 2022. So the floors and the plaster on the walls had to be removed to assist with the drying out process. That did take quite a few months for it to completely dry out. It is an older building, so it was built in 1854, so the floorboards were quite close to the ground, so there wasn't air coming through to aerate and dry out the ground and the floorboards and things, so it had to be all lifted up and removed. Unfortunately, because it was such a slow process, I had quite a bit of black mould and mushrooms growing in the house. Unfortunately, insurance failed in their offer to strip it out and dry it out for me, so it took longer than it probably should have to do.
Maree, I'm interested in the delay that you're talking about here, because you said in your submission that it was a soul-destroying experience dealing with the insurance company. Yeah. There were no responses and things like that. But were there other things they did to slow things up? Did I read correctly that they had a problem with a tuft of grass for some reason?
Yeah, so at the back of the house there's a little bit of grass in one of the gutters, and the assessment was that that contributed to the inundation of water into my house. It would have been insignificant, the amount of water that came through the gutters.
Maree, do you think that you were taken advantage of by your insurer?
Oh, absolutely. Initially, when the assessors came out, you know how you take people at face value when they're asking questions about yourself? What do you do? Are you married? Do you have kids? Those kind of questions. It wasn't until further down the track I realised, yeah, they've specifically targeted me because I'm single, I live alone, I was new to Skipton, so I didn't have a lot of supports. And they were all questions, who's helping you out with the flood? Do you know many people? That I just didn't give a thought to at the time, thinking they were just being polite and engaging.
How did you come to know that that's why they were asking those questions as opposed to trying to figure out, I don't know, who needed the most help or something like that?
After speaking to someone in the Rochester area who had spoken to a lot of other people, and it just seemed to develop a pattern that the people that were having the biggest problems were people who didn't have good supports behind them, people who were single or on their own or female. They didn't tend to be targeting men so much to be more difficult with, more challenging to. And from reading also the submissions that were added to the parliamentary inquiry, it definitely seems like there's a pattern there as well.
Maree, you're doing a wonderful job at holding it together, but I'm sure the last few years has been pretty traumatising for you. Being there in what's left of your house, how's that feeling at the moment for you?
There were times when I would come to the house just to water the garden or mow the lawn, and I couldn't even go in the house. It was just too emotional. I just couldn't believe something that I'd wanted so bad and put so much work into renovating and decorating was gone, that I probably might not ever get back into it. With the insurance, you do everything right. You provide all the information that they ask. You be open and honest, and I felt disrespected and treated badly for nothing that I'd done to deserve to be treated the way I was.
Maree, I reckon everyone watching can well understand why you would be feeling so wrought about all this. It's a really important story I think you've told tonight, and thanks so much for being prepared to speak to us about it. We really appreciate your time and your effort.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we should say that Maree's insurer, QBE, told us, and this is a quote, while Miss White's claim has been settled, we acknowledge that the claims experience failed to meet expectations. They say we are listening and are grateful for the feedback as we recognise the genuine concerns raised in the submission. We have apologised to Miss White, and you can read their full statement on our website.
Well, at least that's frank. Yeah, the proof will be if things change in the future across the industry.
People are waiting.